Hello everybody, my name is Skull. Welcome to episode 2 of the Doom Eternal modding guide. This episode will be covering sound modding. In the previous episode I did state that we would be doing string modding this time. That's still coming, that'll be episode 3 instead. But the scope of this tutorial will cover two things. We'll replace the sound of the Slayer's death scream with the Wilhelm scream, and we will be replacing the end level music with Intermission from Doom from the first game. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so real quick, here's some prerequisites. Download links to everything will be in the description. Well, most everything. First off, the Eternal Audio Extractor. This is just going to be what we use to grab the sound files from the actual game, and so that we can edit it. FFmpeg is sort of an extension for Audacity that we're going to need in order to export the files to the format that we want. WWise Wem Converter is a similar case, but it extends WWise instead of Audacity. Audacity is the software that we're going to use to edit the sounds themselves. WWise is really just to make the converter work. We don't really need it for much else, but it is necessary. And then VLC is just to listen back to the files with some non-common extensions that the Windows audio player won't recognize. Lastly, we have the sounds that we're actually going to replace. So for the sound effect, I have the Wilhelm scream, and for the song, I have Intermission from Doom. Obviously, for you, these are going to be different. Just grab whatever you need. Alright, the first thing that we're going to do here is extract the audio files from Doom Eternal itself. The way we're going to do this is by opening up the audio extractor and hitting Extract All. You can hit Extract Single if you know what folder your sound file is in, but for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm just going to use Extract All. So, it'll ask you for the full path to your Doom Eternal installation. All you have to do to get that, open up Steam, find Doom Eternal, right-click, Manage, Browse Local Files, and then up here on this top bar, just click to the right in this sort of blank gray space. It'll convert it to text, Control-C to copy it, Control-V to paste it in. Now it'll ask you for an empty folder to put all the sound files in. Go back to your desktop, create a new folder, I'll call it Raw Sounds. Do the same thing, open it up, grab this, it should have the name of the folder at the end, Control-V, enter. It'll ask you, do you want to convert the WEM files to OGG? Yes, you want to do that so you can listen to them in VLC and verify that they're the right sound. So hit yes. Do you want to extract unused game sound files? That's up to you. I'm not going to do that because I don't have any use for that for this tutorial, but it's your choice. And then just hit yes to confirm. Once you've done that, it'll take a while, so I'll be back here when it's done. Okay, so as you can see, the conversion is finished successfully. I'll just hit N to close the batch file. And then in that folder that we pointed it to, you can see there's a bunch of these folders that contain all the actual sounds. So you're going to want to look through them and see where your sound is. The names have been redone to be descriptive. So as you can see, different things have names. Cultist Space Axe Room, Goop Loop. As you can see, they have names that describe what the actual sound is. So go through these, try and find the sound that you're looking for. In this case, Death 7, this is the one I'm looking for, so I'll go ahead and click on it, open it in VLC, verify it's the correct sound, which yes it is, and then we can simply copy it and go back to our desktop. I'm going to create a new folder for organizational purposes. I'll just call it Workspace, and I'll just drag it in here. I'll take our sound effect that we're going to use and also put it in there as well. Okay, so I'm in here grabbing the music track as well. One thing that you are going to want to note, make sure you remember what folder you're actually grabbing these sounds from. So for instance, I'm grabbing this sound from the music folder, and the last sound that I grabbed from the SFX folder. So with that in mind, just make sure you remember that. If you need to write it down somewhere, whatever. Okay, so here we have all our sounds. Right now I'm going to work on the sound effect. So I will open this up in Audacity. And I will also open up the Wilhelm scream in Audacity. With Audacity, there we go. Once these open, you're going to want to compare a couple of things and just standardize them across both. So the first thing that you're going to want to make sure is that they have the same sample rate. To find the sample rate, you can just look here on the sort of side panel. You can see it says stereo 48,000 hertz. Here it says stereo 44,100 hertz. You want to make sure it reflects the one that's actually found in game, so in this case it's the one on the left. All we need to do here is go to Tracks, Resample, and then put in 48000. Now the other thing we want to make sure is that they both say stereo or they both say mono. Again, you're going to want to conform to what is actually the case on the in-game sound file. If the sound file that you're importing is mono, it will look something like this. And all you have to do in that case is Control C, click outside of it, Control V, hit the arrow, and then make stereo track. And then if it's stereo and you want to make it mono, all you have to do is split the track and then hit X. Alright, so now that we've got these two normalized, we're going to want to check the file name to verify the export procedure. Now, if you haven't been able to see these extensions, all you need to do is up here, go to the View tab, and hit File Name Extensions. So there, I just made it go away, but if I check it, obviously they'll come back. Now in this case, the original sound was an Opus file, and that makes our life easy, because all we need to do is open up the original in Audacity. I'm just going to create a new folder called Outputs, just to put these in. But, open up Audacity, File, Export Audio, and then in the Outputs folder, name it whatever you want, but where it says Save As Type, make sure that it's selected Opus, OGG Opus files. Right here. That's the type that we want it to be in, obviously, and then you can just hit Save. And now in the Outputs folder, you can see it's a .opus file. Last thing you have to do is, if you right-click and hit Rename, or press F2, that's what I normally do, you can just hit Control-C, and then in the Outputs folder, hit Control-V. And so now that the file is named properly, we're done with that. Alright, so now I've taken both of these two music files here, and I've just opened them up in Audacity. So I have the in-game music file on the left, and the music file I want to replace it with on the right. Now, something important to note here is that on top of making sure they're both stereo, and on top of making sure they both have the same sample rate, which they don't, so I'll just fix that real quick. So 8000. On top of both of these things, because music files loop, and they loop at a certain, like, hard-coded time, you want to make sure that both the music files are the same length. So as you can see, the length of this file is 2 minutes, 25 seconds, and 67 milliseconds, whereas the length of this one is 3 minutes, 20 seconds, and 14 milliseconds. So, because the file that I'm importing is longer than the file that's in the game, obviously I have to shorten it, but let's say, for example, I go overboard with the shortening here, and I end up with a file that's actually shorter than the one that is in the game. All I need to do is click at the very end, and then under Tracks, I believe it's Generate. I'm sorry, under Generate, hit Silence, and then for the duration, all you need to do is plug in the difference between the two. So, we're already at 2 minutes on both. We're going to want about 25 seconds, and then we're going to want, what is that, 22 milliseconds? There we go, and if we click at the end here, yep, exact same length on both. You can just click on this black line to get rid of it, and now they're the exact same length. Now that we've matched up our two songs properly, again, you're going to want to open up your workspace and you're going to want to check the extension. Now, in this case, the extension is OGG, which means it was originally a WEM file, so we're going to have a little more work to do here. First off, you are indeed going to want to go to the new sound, the one that you want to import. File, Export, we're going to export it as WAV. Now, I'm going to put it in the Outputs folder just for now. We can go ahead and close that. Don't say that, that's just for Audacity. Open our Outputs folder and you can see it's here as a WAV file. Now we can go ahead, take the name of the original OGG, and we can paste it in here, but we aren't done yet. At this point, we want to open up WWise from the launcher, and we're going to hit New on the projects. Keep in mind where the location is, and I'm going to name this Audio Convert. So the project folder is this right here. Again, keep that in mind. Hit OK. Everything else you don't have to worry about. There will be a few menus that pop up. Just click through them. Once it loads, just exit. You can save if you want. Doesn't matter either way. Now, if we were to go check in our Documents folder and open up the WWise Projects folder, you can see Audio Convert is right here. What we want to do with that is take the WWise Wem Converter right here. We're going to copy it. We're going to navigate into that Documents folder, into Audio Convert, and we're going to paste it here. Then we're going to name the folder to Convert, lowercase c, that's important. Once we do that, come back into here, come back into your workspace and your outputs, take the WAV file, and put it into the input folder inside of convert. Paste, there you go. Now just run convert.bat. Process completed successfully, hit enter, check the output folder, it'll say Windows, and then here is it as a WEM file. Once you have that, you have the correct output. You can go ahead and replace the WAV file. In this case, I'm just going to move it out of the outputs folder. Alright, so now we've got our two outputs. And if you'll recall, I did tell you to remember what folder the original files were in. This is where that comes in handy. So create a new folder. One of these was in the SFX folder, while one of these was in the music folder. So create both of those folders and drag the appropriate sound into each one. Once you've done this, you can highlight them both, send to compressed zipped folder, and then you can name it whatever you want. And that right there, that zipped folder, is your completed mod. So you can take that, you can go into your Doom Eternal directory, go into the mods folder, and put it in, and then go ahead and run the injector. Now while the injector is running, you can hit Control-C on it in order to keep it open, and to verify that your sound mod has worked, you will see replaced sound with, and then the name of the sound that's replaced. If you see something like added, or if you see something that's not this, that probably means it didn't work, but since these both say replaced, we can tell that it did indeed work, and we can verify within the actual game. As you can see, that's both of our sounds implemented properly and working in game. Alright, so this concludes the tutorial for sound modding in Doom Eternal. Hopefully you found this helpful. The one part of this that isn't really very streamlined is actually finding the sound that you need. If anybody knows a way to do that, let me know. I'll add it in the comment pinned in the comment section. But other than that, the next video will definitely be on string modding, and hopefully this helped. Have fun!